It's so hot I genuinely think I might die. Like, death seems like a very real and present problem for me. Hey guys, welcome to Trans 101, a series where I give information and advice to trans people. Today's the second episode. Last time I talked about some words and jargon that are thrown around a lot in the community, so now today we can finally get started on actual advice and stuff. So I guess chronologically it makes sense that the first thing I would talk about is how to figure out if you're even trans in the first place. Now, this isn't intended to be a list of instructions, what you have to do to work it out, nothing like that. This is more just a bunch of things that you can do or think about to try and solidify it in your mind, but you by no means need to do any of these before you identify as trans. Your identity is 100% up to you to define, not anybody else, and that's the biggest message from this, I guess. So one of the most helpful things I heard when I was trying to figure out my identity was simply, if you think that you're trans, you're trans. Which obviously is a very simplistic, sweeping statement and will not be true for everybody, but basically what it means is that cis people go throughout their entire lives never once questioning their gender, and it's a completely non-issue for them. So if you think that there's a possibility you might be trans because you feel slightly uncomfortable, then chances are you are. I guess it's also important to note that a lot of transphobia stems just from trying to convince people they're not trans, saying, oh, it doesn't exist, you're just trying to be special, or anything like that. People try and get into your head and make you doubt yourself. And if you don't experience dysphoria, or if you are a non-binary gender, then sometimes that hate can come from other trans people, which is really not helpful. So basically, if somebody tries to make you think that your identity isn't real, or you're faking it because you want to be oppressed or anything like that, just don't listen to them. I actually once got told that trans people were just white people looking for something to complain about. There are so many non-white trans people. So one thing that I did when I was trying to work out my identity was go onto Omegle, the text chat, talk to a complete stranger and introduce myself as a boy. I introduced myself under various names, trying to work out which ones I liked. And it really helped solidify for me, I enjoyed talking to people as a boy and having them, refer to me as a guy, and I just really liked it. I tried out lots of names. I tried out Matt quite a lot. I was almost a Matt. Wouldn't that have been fun? Also, try out any names you want in any way you possibly can. If you like writing, that's a good way to do it. Actually, my friend, we used to write each other silly little stories about ourselves, kind of, just as a fun thing. And when I told her I was thinking of changing my pronoun and my names, she actually went back and rewrote one of the stories that she'd written with those names and those pronouns, and it was really helpful, and it really solidified for me that was kind of what I wanted, and it felt right being referred to as a he, and yeah, it was a good idea. Thanks, friend. If you prefer drawing, then you can try drawing yourself in different clothes, different body types, whatever you want, trying to work out if you feel better, presenting more masculine, more feminine. Obviously the way that you present doesn't necessarily mean what gender you are, but it could be like a hint, I think. Something I did as well, which I've never mentioned, is I made another Tumblr blog where I said I was a boy. I was called Matt again, I think. And I didn't tell anyone that it was in any way linked to my other blog, and I had about 10 followers, but I just liked it, and it was useful being a boy on Tumblr. I liked it. I also think about your childhood, maybe. For me, there were some instances when I was a kid that I look back on now and I'm like, oh yeah, that should have been a warning sign. For example, when I was younger, I thought I had a crush on Zach from Zack and Cody, and then I realised that I didn't. I just wanted to be Zach from Zack and Cody. And when I was younger, I would always want a Letterman jacket because those were what the cool boys wore, the jocks. I really wanted one. And now that I look back, I'm like, it was because all the boys wore them, to be honest. I just wanted to dress like a guy. I tried to dress like Zach from Zack and Cody as well. He was just an icon in my childhood, to be honest. Which moves me on to clothes. Definitely think about what clothes make you feel more comfortable. Even try wearing clothes if it's possible for you to get your hands on it. I remember feeling really uncomfortable at parties for a really long time, and I thought it was just because I had social anxiety and I didn't like people that much, but it turns out I love parties. I just hated going to parties wearing dresses, So I definitely think if you can try out different kind of clothes, try some more feminine ones, more masculine ones, and see which ones make you feel more comfortable, that could be an indicator of gender, maybe. Although, like I said, clothing doesn't dictate gender, nothing dictates gender, because gender doesn't have any set rules or clothes or looks or anything like that. It's all fake, nothing is real. I'm doing sociology. Now that we've looked at the past, it's time to think about the future. Think about how you see yourself in the future. For example, with me, back when I was in high school and I was thinking about university, or I was thinking about getting married, or thinking about being a grown-up, basically, I realised I always thought of myself as a guy. I would always say I would be like an uncle instead of an auntie. And I always just thought, like, when I'm older, I'm gonna be bro. Another thing I would say is, if you can, try and look at the experiences of other trans people. If there's anybody in your life who's trans, talking to them could be really helpful. It certainly was for me. But also just, there's a lot of YouTubers out there. There's a big community of trans people on YouTube. A lot of them do talk about their experiences, how they figured out they were trans, and also show their transition and stuff, which was really helpful for me. I actually identified as non-binary for quite a long time. If you've watched me for a while, you might know that. And I started realising I felt more of the male side of the spectrum after finding Jake Edwards and Alex Bertie, who are two trans guys on YouTube, and I watched them and I realised I kind of identified like with them. I kind of wanted to transition the way they were. And I was like, well damn, I guess I'm a boy. So watch as many different identities of people on YouTube as you can, get as many stories as you can, and see if any of them resonate with you. Basically, I would say overall your identity is 100% up to you to define. You don't have to dress the way people think you should, you don't have to use the pronouns people think you should for you to identify a certain way. And also, it's okay if you think you're trans and your idea is it is a really long time and then you realise that you're not. It's perfectly fine. You can change your identity at any time. Don't worry about that. You don't have to be 100% certain before you tell people. You can just share your thoughts with anyone at any time. Thank you for listening, and I will see you at some point. Goodbye.